Hello and welcome back to the Data Privacy Lawyer. My name is Funmi Owolabi and I'm the principal attorney at this law firm. Today's audit, we're going to be looking at the cookie policy for Cadillac. Now, I like to make observations when I am looking at businesses generally. Let's take a look. They sell cars for anybody that's new. And here we are with the cookie banner. Now, the cookie consent management platform we can see here is Cookiebot by Usercentrics, which is good. And I just want to make a note of why I have mentioned this. If your business is looking for a third-party vendor to facilitate this cookie banner that's presented when users go onto the site, make sure that you're doing a good evaluation of all of the different vendors that are available, because the language that they place on your site is a reflection of your business. So make sure that you're doing that. And there's lots of different vendors out there. There's also vendors where they won't update the language, but they will provide you with a cookie banner. You need to understand what's right for your business, which is why if you're looking to have a cookie policy created or you're looking for insights into which cookie vendor you should go with, you can take a look at my description below and I would love to give your business advice. So we're going to opt out of all of these, which we always do anyway. You can see here again that the necessary cookies are always on. One of the reasons why that's so interesting. Okay, I have something to say about this. You can leave a comment below if you have insights on this. It's not clear to me which way is off. I'll tell you why. This necessary button is clearly always on. So as far as I'm concerned, off would be to the left, right? On is to the right, off is to the left. However, on and off have the same color. I have opinions about this. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what a dark pattern is, but it's basically a process that some businesses use to influence how a user makes decisions. That's all I'm going to say about that matter. I think it could be confusing that the color is the same. I think an update for this particular banner is to change the color so it's clear whether we're opting in or out. As far as I'm concerned, all of these are currently on, right? So I'm trying to deselect them by turning them off and I'm going to deny. Okay, so your current state is deny. Okay, that's clear now to me. But the color could change because I think that it could be a little bit confusing, particularly for consumers that aren't clear on what they're even selecting. And most are just going to select accept. But what they don't realize is they don't understand what a cookie actually is, which is why businesses have the responsibility as the data controller to really articulate this is what we're doing with this data and this is what it is. But it's good that we were presented with that cookie banner. The law states we can store cookies on your device if they're strictly necessary for the operation of this site. I'm intrigued which law. I am very intrigued which law. For all other types of cookies, we need your permission. This site uses different types of cookies. Some cookies are placed by third-party services that appear on our pages. Businesses should be very careful when they're engaging with third-party services because there's lots of different things that could go wrong, especially where you as the owner are the data controller. You determine the means and purpose of processing, and you don't want to give the illusion to a third party that is placing cookies on your page that they potentially are the data controller if they are not. Okay, so be very careful with the contractual language associated with different third parties that you engage with as it relates to cookies. You can at any time change or withdraw your consent from the cookie declaration on our website, which is accurate. That is true. Learn more about who we are, how we connect, how you can contact us, and how we process personal data in our privacy policy. Please state your consent applies to the following domains. Okay. And they've also listed here all of the cookies that they utilize. That's really good. I will say that there's not a lot of information. When we originally looked at the cookie banner, there was the opportunity to opt out of more than just necessary and marketing cookies. But those other cookies haven't been listed here. So I wonder if the cookie banner we were presented, there's a couple of options on my thoughts. The cookie banner has been updated far more frequently than the cookie policy has. And I mentioned this in another cookie policy audit. What happens is when you outsource the cookie consent management process to a third party, they generally have privacy counsel that will update the cookie banner as and when the laws change. But the responsibility for updating the actual cookie policy lies with Cadillac. And sometimes they don't realize the changes have been made to the cookie banner, which is why you see things like just listing the necessary and marketing cookies here, whereas the cookie banner reflects probably what the business Cadillac has told Cookiebot, who facilitates that banner we saw. They've told them this is what we do with cookies, but they haven't updated their cookie policy to reflect that. And again, I've talked about this in other reviews. Make sure that you have the date that your policy was last updated on your public-facing documents, because they need to reflect what your business is doing right now. Again, this is not legal advice. This is just me speculating and giving general tidbits about what I think businesses could do. If you want specific legal advice related to your business, take a look at the description below and book some time to speak with me, because I just like to look at what other businesses are doing generally to see how their organization feels about privacy. I think it's a good way to get a sense of what's happening internally if the external documents are reflecting what your business is doing. If the external documents don't reflect your privacy practices, it's likely that what's going on internally is the same. Because when you do a privacy program, you have to look at privacy as a whole. From the collection of data to its deletion, you're looking at every single process associated with personal data, and that includes cookies. So I think this was a very interesting cookie policy to review. I will say that I think that the cookie banner definitely has some updates that might be required. I also think that the information that's being provided on the actual site could have additional details for consumers. But in terms of the tone, I do think that the tone is very good and is clear on what is happening, but it definitely needs additional filler content to fill in the gaps so that consumers really understand how their information is being used by Cadillac. So I really hope you enjoyed this cookie policy review. If your business is looking for privacy counsel advice, take a look in my description and book some time to speak with me, and I'll see you in another cookie policy audit.